Kia ora koutou. Welcome to another edition of the Hot Air Sports Podcast, our first since June. We were hoping to come up with a snazzy new format and snazzy new guests and all that, but bugger it, it's just us two. How are you, Mona?
Oh, I'm great, mate. Extended hiatus we've been on, haven't we?
Quite right, quite right.
What do they call it in the flash jobs?
A sabbatical.
Sabbatical. Well, there's been a bit of sabbaticals going on, isn't there? I mean, we've been incredibly busy doing a whole bunch of stuff, and we've settled. The dust is all settled, and we're back to exactly where we were before.
Exactly.
But we thought we'd better get on the Zoom and get another podcast going, mate. There's been plenty going on in the world of sports, hasn't there?
Absolutely. So, quick question. Over the last 3 months,
mate.
A highlight and a low light from you.
Well, my low light, I could just sum it up in one word. Begins
Warriors.
with W. Yeah. I was going to say, do you know? Yes, of course. Warriors. Just absolute disgustingly shit season. It was perhaps the worst season on record. Giving away players, fights with the owner, giving away players and then paying for the players to go to other clubs who are now in the semi-finals, getting suspended for saying bunch of sticks. There's just too much to it, mate. It was just every single time we got a win and there was a little bit of glimmer of hope, the next week we fell flat on our face and played terribly. It was just a season from hell. And unfortunately, I just can't see it changing. I don't think it, I don't know. The new coach could work miracles next year. Let's hope, mate, because that's all I got left as a supporter of the Warriors, mate, is hope, So that's been my low light. That's kind of easy. I'm going to go to you for the low light while I think about my highlight, because
Well, I can sum my low light up in 4 letters. Perhaps you might know what those 4 letters are.
YMCA? No.
NZRU.
Oh, yeah.
The New Zealand Rugby Union. What an absolute disgrace over the last 5 or 6 months. We'll talk a bit more in depth about it shortly, but that is definitely my low light. As I say, we'll talk about it in a minute. Highlight, watching Aaron Judge perform. He's now up to 54 home runs for the season. After 135 games, there's still another, 27 games to go. In many baseball supporters' eyes, if he goes past Roger Maris on 61 from 1961, he is the home run season king.
Wow.
I know Mark Maguire and Barry Bonds both beat that 61 mark, but they're both tainted in many baseball supporters' eyes, including this one-eyed Yankee fan. So, my highlight, and I'll talk about the Yankees. They're becoming a low light, but are nowhere near the NZRU. We'll talk about that a little later on as well. But Aaron Judge, my highlight.
Fair enough. I suppose if I'm going to look at highlights, I really enjoyed the Commonwealth Games over the last 3 months. I mean, that was an event that sort of I really wasn't even on my wasn't even on the horizon for me. And then it hit, and we did so well, and it was just a good feeling. So I really enjoyed the Commonwealth Games. Perhaps that's been my highlight. Of course, the football season ended with a bit of a downer for Liverpool. It hasn't started with much of a hiss and a roar yet. We're still waiting for it to sort of get on the road, maybe tomorrow. I'm sure we'll talk about that soon. But I love the Commonwealth Games. I really enjoyed it. It was sort of like a return to the friendly games. It wasn't really too much of a worry that they weren't winning Olympic medals. There wasn't a lot of talk about that. It was just to talk about the competition, the good sport. And I really enjoyed the Commonwealth Games. So perhaps that's my highlight over the past 3 months. I can't really think of too many other things I've massively enjoyed. I mean, the Black Caps were a real disappointment in England. I've enjoyed watching Scott McLaughlin and Scott Dixon do their thing in the IndyCars. That's been really, really good. They're both in contention going into that final round. Really enjoyed the way they've been competing. So a bit of that as well. But maybe the Commonwealth Games. My highlight.
Just talking about those Commonwealth Games, Aaron Gate, unbelievable performance for him. 4 gold medals,
Incredible.
3 on the track, 1 on the road. Just an incredible athlete. And I really hope he does well in the pro ranks. I mean, he's not really featured that much for his team in Europe, but I really hope he can kick on from that. And
it's so tough with the pro ranks of cycling, man, because you just sort of think, it's still got the thing of drugs that for me.
Yeah.
I mean, the taint of it, and I just sort of think, from what I hear, I just sort of think if you're not on the juice, you're not going to do any good on those pro tours. And if he gets on the juice, I mean, it's the thing, isn't it? It's just one of those things. It's like if you don't get on the juice, you don't win the road. You don't get the glory. You probably Commonwealth gold is about as good as you can get. But he did do
when
amazing.
You're in those teams, sometimes it doesn't come down to athlete choice, does it?
No, you're told to do it, or you get out and you basically don't get a job.
But just touching on your mention of the 2 Scots. Just absolutely incredible watching those 2. I watched the race on Monday morning.
It was great,
Wow. Start to finish, Scott McLaughlin, nobody could come near him.
It was like the supercars, just
they said, he led for 104 of the 110 laps. Mm-hmm. But those 6 laps were he was either in the pits or regaining places from the pits. So just incredible. And what a great team. Those pit stops are, milliseconds.
It's just crazy, eh? I mean, they are, finely oiled machines, literally. Yeah. And the whole teams are, and Scott Dixon as well. Started 13th, I think, finished
14th. Yes.
Yeah. Just the way he can come through the field, and he's just so calm, isn't he? He's just, and you wouldn't put it past him and their team doing it in the last race because it's where they've tested. Yep. It's in California. So long as Will Power doesn't win the bloody thing, just Will Power gets on my goat. It's not just because he's an Aussie; he's just an annoying Aussie, isn't he? He's one of those just seems to complain all the time. And I did find it interesting when Scott McLaughlin won that race in Portland, when he said afterwards, he said, I'm going to be playing Pebble Beach because the owner of the thing said, well, if you're in the contention for the last race, we'll take you and play Pebble Beach. So he was pretty happy that he was doing that. It looked like his parents have been over there for the last couple of months as well, and having a bit of a fun time in the US. So he's a credit to the sport, mate. Credit to the sport.
Absolutely. And sticking to the motor racing theme, of course, it's the final Pukekohe Supercars this weekend. The last time the event will be held at Pukekohe, and then they're turning it into a full-time horse racing track.
Are they? Is that what they're doing? Oh, I thought it would have been a car park these days. I mean, something like that, 2022. That's what we do, don't we? We bowl down things like that to high density housing. That's what they're doing.
Shane Van Gisbergen can continue his hot form in the supercars, and
I'd love to see how he'd do. I'd love to see how he'd do in the IndyCars. I reckon he'd do bloody well, man. I mean,
absolutely.
It's just his personality. I think he rubs some people up the wrong way. He calls a spade a effing spade, doesn't he? A lot of the time. And but man, that guy can drive anything, and he's a superstar on 4 wheels, isn't he?
Well, he's proven it in 3 different categories over the last 2 or 3 years. He won the New Zealand Grand Prix in an open wheeler. He's won rally tournaments, and I tell you what, if he was entering in the World Rally Championship in New Zealand, he'd probably come in and win that too.
He'd probably ride a horse to the New Zealand Cup, mate. He'd ride anything, that guy. Ride anything, old Giz. The old Giz. No, he's
quite right. Oh, well, there's a few highlights and lowlights over the last 3 months since the last podcast. Let's get into football.
Okay.
Season's underway again. We've had 6 Premier League games. Champions League started again this week.
Yeah. This morning, wasn't it?
This morning,
Chelsea got done by a dynamic team from somewhere.
Zagreb. Dynamo Zagreb, they got beaten by.
Ooh, Tommy Tuchel's in trouble, isn't he, mate? He doesn't. Yeah. He's not happy with his team. He said he didn't see it coming. I don't know why, because they've been crap all season. They bought Aubameyang. Why the hell they need Aubameyang? Got no idea. They already got Brozier. I don't know why, especially if you watch that Arsenal documentary. I mean, Aubameyang's just a twat. He's just an idiot. Although it was very sad to find out that he was assaulted in Barcelona, wasn't it? His house broken into and his jaw broken. But no, Chelsea are in trouble. They're not playing good football.
No, they're struggling.
Yeah, playing very badly. So that's very, very sad.
Yep. Man City, an easy win this morning. They had 4-0 over Sevilla.
No
And the other
surprises
British
there.
team, Celtic, held Real Madrid for 60 or 70 minutes. But
They played really well in that first half.
Yeah. And 3-0 they went down to Real Madrid. So
but they'll do okay though in this group. They came out. I do like the way Ange Postecoglou's got them playing, man, and I reckon that he could be a smoky for the replacement for Klopp at Liverpool. There you go.
You think so?
I do.
Whenever that may happen.
Well, the way Steven Gerrard's going, he won't be in the running. So,
although he did get a good result on the weekend.
He did, playing very defensive football. But Erling Haaland, let's talk about Erling Haaland. I mean, he got another couple of goals today. He's just, for Man City, we did say he was a bona fide, he's going to score goals. We knew that.
Yeah.
Don't think we probably thought quite as many goals. He's already up to double figures for the season. I think he's had about 100 touches for the season. He's averaging about a goal every 10 touches. It's absolutely ridiculous. He looks like he's going to hit 50 or 60 goals this season, Michael. What do you make of him?
Yeah, well, it's interesting, isn't it? I mean, we talked before the season about how was he going to fit into Guardiola's style of play? But I think they've proven that that's not really an issue. With 10 goals and 6 games in the Premier League, and as you say, a couple of Champions League goals. He's just a predator, isn't he?
Yeah.
You give him the ball in the penalty area and he's going to score. Reminds me a lot of Clive Allen from back in the 80s. Who Clive Allen's probably first to admit he wasn't actually a great player, but boy did he know how to score the goals. Yeah. And I think Haaland's a bit the same. He doesn't seem to be a guy that's going to get too many assists during the season or create chances, but boy, he's going to finish them.
He just stays in the box, and when he's not in the box, he's right on that line, ready to go. And obviously, in the weekend, I watched him, and he about 4 times he made a run, and then he came back, and then made a run, and came back, made a run. And it's like he just doesn't care. He doesn't seem to care if they're not playing passes. He's just going to go back and make another run. And I think it was the third he got when his first hat trick, when he held off that defender who was coming across, running full tit, and just the way he held him off while running at pace, having the ball at his, and just finished. He's just unstoppable.
He reminds you of that kid in the 10-year-olds team that you just used to give the ball to and he'd score.
Dribble through everyone. Yeah. There was one kid. Guy, and the year after he'd be 2 grades above. Yeah. It was a bit like Erling Haaland. Well, he scored 9 goals in one game, didn't he, Erling Haaland, for an under-19? Yeah. When he was playing under-19 for Norway under-19. So he was a bit like that when he was a kid too, mate. And now he's just he looks like a man playing kids football still. Yeah.
5 years ago, before he went to Dortmund, he was offered to a good friend, Roy Hodgson.
That's right.
At Crystal Palace.
This is quite funny.
Roy said that he just didn't have the physical attributes to succeed in the Premier League.
And he ended up going for Andre Ayew instead. That's
Jordan Ayew.
One of the Ayews.
Yeah.
Oh boy, hey?
Yeah.
He can pick him. So, Erling Haaland nailed on to score 1 million goals. And already City looking massive favourites for the Premier League. Although Arsenal have started very well, although they didn't win against Manchester United this weekend. Let's talk a bit of Arsenal, mate. What have you made of them early doors?
I actually think they've played some really good football. They still look a bit dodgy at the back. I don't think Arteta's got that completely solved. I think Rashford's run through on goal to score his first goal on the weekend just showed up that they're not quite there defensively yet. They've got some really good players. It will be interesting to see if Gabriel Jesus can continue on they've won 5 out of 6, but that Man United game was their first real test, wasn't it?
That's right. That's exactly right. And Gabriel Jesus, all their fans are going, we've found our number 9. He's going to be the top scorer, all that sort of stuff. So far, he's played more minutes and scored less goals than Firmino. So, he's played well. He does look good. He does look good playing in the centre, doesn't he? Pep never played him there, to be fair. So, I think Arsenal look good. They've got lots of good young players, but I think, like you said, their first big test, they failed it, didn't they? Odegaard's looked really good. God, he's a good player, isn't he? He's a lot better than I thought he was. I said, why do they need to buy him? Because they had Smith Rowe. Geez, he's a player. Smith Rowe hasn't been able to get in the team, poor boy. But no, they've started well. They're an interesting side, and I think they'll definitely be in the race for the top four, won't they? Perhaps the biggest surprise though of the Premier League is Brighton, mate, with Graham Potter.
They've done that before though. They've started well, and then once the dog days of winter hits, they just start tumbling down the table. Before we get on to our beloved side, I think the only other one I really want to talk about is the team that we love to hate, and that is Manchester United, of course. Started off with those two ignominious losses to...
We thought, how long's Ten Hag going to last? He won't last.
Brentford. And I think everybody was expecting Liverpool to turn up at Old Trafford and take them apart, but didn't quite work out that way, did it? And I've actually been... I don't like to say this too loudly, but I have actually been impressed with the way Ten Hag has gone about it. He's actually ripped up previous playbooks and just gone back to football 101.
Yep.
Gone back to the very, very basics. He's left Harry Maguire out of the side. He's left Cristiano Ronaldo out of the side.
Which are both things we said they needed to do.
Yeah.
To be fair, needed a strong manager. Had to be done.
Luke Shaw's been replaced.
I've always thought he's average.
Tyrell Malacia. And just having, I think Fernandes in the middle of the park just plays so much better when his Portuguese mate's not there.
Yep, exactly. And also, I read a stat the other day. In those first couple of games they played, because Ten Hag's from the Ajax, club, obviously, where they play tick-a-tack, real short passer move. First couple of games, they played, I think, 2 or 3% long ball. So they tried to play the Ajax way, and they got played off the park. Then it came to the Liverpool game. They played 19% of their passes were long ball passes. So there was a definite change there. He thought, but we can't play this way against this team. He just obviously looked at his players and thought, I don't have the cattle in the middle of the park to play that way. We've got pace on the wings and up front. We're going to play it long. And I mean, regardless, look, that's completely against his philosophy. So early into his tenure, for him to be changing his philosophy, for me, that says he's a good, it says he's got something about him, right? It does.
Yeah.
He's ripped up his own playbook, the one that he wants to imprint on his thing long term, and he said, "No, we have to get a result here. We have to get some points. We have to. I'm here for the here and now, or I'm not going to be here." And I think that says a lot for his tactical now. So you're exactly right, mate. He's carried that on when he's been playing the better sides. He did that again with Arsenal. Those long balls, those through balls, those Ericsson as well in the middle of the park. Yeah. I mean, his pass the other day was just superb. So you have to give him credit, mate. You have to give Ten Hag credit. He's done bloody well. A bit of a worry, really.
And to be honest, I didn't really know much about Anthony, who signed for £85 million, and I thought, it's a hell of a lot of money for somebody that a lot of football fans haven't actually ever heard of, and he goes out there and scores a goal on his debut.
Plays 60 minutes. Apparently, couldn't play any longer. He's only got one leg though. Doesn't have a right foot, but I suppose if you got a left foot that good, you don't need it. And Ten Hag, to be fair, once again, he's targeted players he knew. He's targeted positions he needed. He hasn't gone out there and just bought names, but geez, he spent a lot of money. I mean, when you look at the money that Man United and Chelsea have spent, even Forest have spent compared to what we've spent. I mean, Liverpool has spent. It's just obscene amounts of money, isn't it?
Yep. Quick look at the three promoted sides. You've mentioned Nottingham Forest there. 21 new players in the transfer window. A new record, apparently. Yeah. How are they going to go?
Oh, they'll be okay. I think they'll finish probably 15th or something like that. They'll do okay. I don't think they'll do much better than that, probably because they've got so many new players. It looks to me like they are relying on individuals at the moment, but they've got a good coach. He'll get them playing, and they'll be okay. I don't think they'll get relegated.
One of the other promoted clubs has started pretty well in Fulham. They had a good result first up against Liverpool.
They did.
We'll talk more about in a minute, 2-2, and they've continued that form and actually played very well. And Alexander Mitrovic is proving the doubters wrong that he can score at the top level.
And he's got Chelsea this weekend. I bet you he's licking his lips playing Chelsea because their defence is looking a little bit shaky. So, mate, they look really good. They're playing good football. You got to give it to their coach, Silver. I mean, he's been much maligned in the British press and all that sort of stuff, but he's doing the business there at Fulham. And Mitrovic is a good player. He bullied Trent Alexander-Arnold. He's bullied a lot of other defenders, and he'll continue to do so. He's a bloody good player. He's going to score goals, isn't he?
Yep, third of the promoted side, Bournemouth. Have already sacked their manager, Scott Parker, after the 9-0 humiliation at Anfield a couple of weeks back, which I thought was really harsh. Yes, they got beaten 9-0.
Did you hear him afterwards, though? Did you hear his talk afterwards? Dude, if I was the owner, I would have sacked him too. He was ridiculous. He should have said they were too good. You know, we've got to go back and lick our wounds. We've got to get better. But instead, he was just like, oh, these players need help. Oh, you know, we can't do this. Oh, it was just sounded so defeated. I was like, mate, you sound so defeated. And he's bagging his own players. I just think, nah. He played really defensive. I've watched Bournemouth a couple of times since they've had, you know, Gary O'Neill, I think they've appointed as a temporary coach. And at least they were behind 2-0 against Forest in the weekend. And at least they played in the second half. They played front foot football. They tried to get on, you know, play possession football at least. I just think Scott Parker's a really defensive coach. So, I thought it was harsh. Well, it was a bit harsh, but I just think he made it.
He got them promoted though, didn't he?
Yeah, but it happens all the time, doesn't it? Yeah. You know, happens all the time.
I just thought it was harsh, given the games that they'd had. They'd won their first game of the season.
Yeah,
and then lost to Arsenal, Manchester City, and Liverpool.
I just think the way he communicated though.
Perhaps you're right.
I don't think it was the 9-0. I think it was the way he communicated afterwards that got him sacked. I don't think the owner, and obviously there's something going on probably that we don't know behind the scenes there between him and the owner. He wants money. Know. The owner isn't giving it to him. The owner's saying we're doing it this way. He's saying I want players. We can't do it. So I think that's what's gone on there. So Bournemouth, unless they can get some sort of miracle working sort of coach in, or I can't see it though. They'll be going down.
Right, the elephant in the room, Liverpool. 2 wins, 3 draws, and that loss to Manchester United.
Yep.
They start their Champions League campaign tomorrow against Napoli.
Yep.
What's going on? Mo Salah's quiet. Nunez got sent off and had a 3-match suspension. Luis Diaz is on fire. Fabio Carvalho's on fire. Harvey Elliott's on fire. That's about it, really.
Not many others are. Trent's having problems with form. Van Dijk's having problems with form. Ellison's in great form. So it's sort of like some of them they're all over the place, really, aren't they? And that's a bit like the team. It's not like we're not producing opportunities in that game against Everton. My God, I think there was more shots on goal in that game than any other game of the season, and it was a 0-0. Both of those keepers were just amazing. Yep. Even Pickford, who I dislike intently, he was great in that game. He played bloody well. So I don't think. Look, Mo's playing really wide. I think maybe he needs to come in a little bit further. Although I did see some stats the other day that he has also produced more opportunities than any other player in the Premier League. So it's not like he's not doing anything. He produces opportunities, but then it's like the final touch or there's always something. It's a bit like he when he was playing at the end of last year, he hasn't quite kicked in. I was hoping that he was going to kick into gear. I think if he starts scoring goals, he'll probably be fine. That's generally how he works.
Yeah, I think he will be.
And the thing is with Liverpool, man, I mean, regardless of all the shit that's going on, all that outside stuff, who we've signed, who we haven't signed, injuries, suspensions, why aren't we playing as well as we did? Oh my God, 9-0, 0-0. What the hell? We lose to United. We're up and down. All of that. I just think I'm okay because we've got Klopp. Yeah. And that's all there is to it. He'll get it. He'll get them playing. He's just such a good manager. So, while I worry, I still have the sense of we'll be okay because of him.
Yeah.
So I'm
the same. You've seen lot of talk on social media about, teams when we're going to struggle to make the top four. And these Liverpool fans, don't listen to Gabby Agbonlahor. He's an idiot.
Just don't even pay him lip service. I was a bit surprised Klopp even called him out, to be fair.
Yeah, I'm 100% with you. I just think that squad is too good.
Yeah.
To not be challenging for the title again. I mean, really, we're only 5 points behind.
I know.
Man City, because we know Arsenal's going to fall by the wayside. Chelsea's not doing well. United can't keep it up for that long. We'll see them lose a few games and they'll fall by the wayside. And it'll be Liverpool and Man City again fighting it out for the title. I would put money on it.
Me too, mate. Me too. And the big thing is, remember how not that long ago people used to say, "Don't even look at the table before Christmas. Don't even look at the table. It's not even. It's one after Christmas." So, okay, that is so true. It might not be quite as true today because of the way that the teams are. Might not be quite as true as it was when Fergie was in charge and all that. But this year, it's more true than ever before because we've got a World Cup. And so many of those players are going to be going to the World Cup and getting injured and getting stuffed. The only two big players that aren't going to the World Cup, Erling Haaland, oh my God, he's going to get a month to recharge.
Yeah.
And Mo Salah's not going to the World Cup, man.
Correct.
So if he's still not in great form, give him a couple of weeks on the beach and whatever it takes, mate. He'll come back flying. I just
absolutely
think, the World Cup will change things. I think this season will be a season like no other. It is. It's going to be one of those seasons. It already has been that sort of season.
It'll be like that COVID season.
It will be. There's teams losing and when they should be, that team beats this team by 5 goals and the next week loses to the team that beat the other team. It's like, that's just the way it's going to be this season. And it'll be even more like that in January and February because it'll be after the World Cup. So just hold fire, man. Hold fire on the panic. I just, over all those people panicking and stage.
I know.
It is just too much.
Interesting comment from Guardiola before the season started.
Yeah.
Even he said with the World Cup being when it is and having that break of 2 months of the season, he says you can't win the Premier League before the World Cup, but you can lose it.
Absolutely, you can. And it looked like that's exactly what Manchester United were trying hard to do. Well, not even trying that hard, were they? In the first few games, they were just absolutely awful. But unfortunately, they look like they're turning things around. Manchester City just looked like that well-oiled machine, and they've got Haaland. I just hope. I don't want to wish injury on anyone, but I wish injury on Haaland. Arsenal, like you say, they're a young team. They'll probably fall by the wayside. Chelsea, I think. Okay, so do you think Tuchel will last? We knew what would happen under Abramovich. He'd probably be gone by Tuesday. This new ownership group, what do you think is going to happen there? Do you think they'll keep him on?
It's the great unknown. I think they'll keep him on. I think they'll give him at least the season. With the new owner coming in, I mean, he's having seen what he's done with the Los Angeles Dodgers. When he took over the Dodgers, they were struggling to make the playoffs every year. And the first few years, it was make the playoffs, then sort of do a bit better in the playoffs, and then get to the World Series. I mean, they've been in 4 of the last 5 World Series, and they're heading that way again this year. So I think he seems to be, and again, I'm only judging him on his baseball ownership. He seems to give coaching staffs and managers time to do the job. I think they're Chelsea's biggest loss and biggest stuff up over the last 2 years has been Romelu Lukaku. I mean,
absolutely.
Didn't we pick him, you, me, and Piney, when we were coming up with our top scorers for last season?
No, I had Salah,
and not as top, but he was there or thereabouts. I think I had Lukaku as my leading goal scorer for the season. And it didn't work, and they've wasted £100 million, and he's been loaned back to Inter Milan.
Yeah, and the other thing they miss Kante as well in the middle of the field, man. I mean, they just don't really have that biting midfielder. Chelsea, they're a strange one, man. I don't really know Yeah, you're probably right. That's really interesting about the baseball, the way he handles his baseball franchises and gives them a bit of time. If Tuchel does get the sack, there are a couple of possibilities. There's Pochettino, of course, who's hanging around looking for the next available job, and Graham Potter, of course, at Brighton, who is just going great guns with them. I just love the way they play their football. Yeah. And if Graham Potter doesn't get that job, he'll probably get Gareth Southgate's job, mate, because England aren't going to win the World Cup. And Gareth South, even they're second favourites to win the World Cup. Unbelievable.
It's crazy.
How the hell does that work?
Here's an outsider for you, Harvey Elliott, to make the World Cup squad.
He'd have to be close, wouldn't he? Another one for you. What about the striker for Ivan Toney? What about Ivan Toney?
Oh, Ivan Toney, yeah.
The way that hat trick that he got in the weekend, my God, what a hat trick that was! So he'd have to be close. I mean, he's playing a lot better and a lot more often than Dominic Calvert-Lewin. Although knowing Gareth Southgate,
Dominic Calvert-Lewin's not playing.
That's what I mean. But knowing Gareth Southgate, he'll say, "Look, I know what these players can do. I'm just going to stick with the tried and true. I'm going to pick Harry Maguire as my captain. I'm going to." He will. I guarantee it. So, even Jadon Sancho. I mean, he's playing really well this season. I mean, about bloody time though. A lot of the United fans would say. But Graham Potter, he'd have to go close to taking that England job if Gareth Southgate's relieved of it. So, I don't know. Chelsea. It'll be interesting to see where they do go with their management. Whether Tuchel can get a bit of a tune out of Chelsea.
We'll watch this in a month or so, maybe a couple of months or so before the. We're actually only 2 months away from it now, aren't we? Mm-hmm. Let's say 6 weeks or so, we'll get Piney on the podcast.
Oh, definitely.
We'll do a bit of a World Cup preview, and we'll have a closer look at Mr. Southgate's team and a couple of the other teams.
Awesome.
And try and pick our World Cup winners. Time to go to the oval ball codes.
Cool.
I think we've both got some interesting views, me particularly on rugby union.
Okay, let's start with the union then, shall we?
Yep. Okay, so the All Blacks put 50 points past Argentina on the weekend.
Great result.
But I don't really know where to start. I mean, one swallow doesn't make a summer for starters.
Why don't you go a couple of weeks back then? The result in South Africa.
Yeah, then that was the last 8 minutes that they actually played some decent rugby and got ahead of the South Africans. And the South Africans in that second test were a bit like Argentina on Saturday. They'd put so much effort into their first test that they just seemed spent in that last part of that game in South Africa. And Argentina just had put so much passion and effort into the test in Christchurch that they just run out of steam by the time they met in Hamilton. And again, yes, the All Blacks played well, but every team, is going to have one of those games where every pass sticks and every kick goes to the right part of the field and every tackle counts and all that sort of thing. And you see all the social media people have come out this week saying, "Oh, where's all the Ian Foster critics now?" Well, I'm still one. I still don't think he's capable of being the All Blacks coach.
You're sounding like one of those very, very, very privileged All Black fans that thinks that the All Blacks have got a divine right to always win.
No, they absolutely do not have the divine right to win every test.
Playing the devil's advocate.
Oh, yeah, you can play the devil's advocate all you like. But the All Blacks, even in that big win on the weekend, still didn't have an obvious game plan. It was just, let's go out and we'll
chuck it out there, get it out the back,
throw the ball around, and forwards just bar up,
yeah,
sort of thing.
Yeah,
and they did, and it seemed still hickledy-pickledy, and just yes, the forwards have improved since Jason Ryan's been on board.
He's only been there a month, though.
He's only been there a month.
What's he supposed to do? Come on.
Yes, we are seeing better forward play. We weren't getting knocked back in rucks like we had been in previous weeks.
Yeah, we're scrummaging better. We're mauling better. Yeah, we are.
Look, to be honest, I've said right from the time that before Foster was even picked that he just doesn't have the pedigree to be an All Blacks coach. He was a very average Super Rugby coach with the Chiefs, got them to one final, and they were thrashed in that.
Yep.
Every other season he coached them, he never looked like.
And the 2 seasons after that, they did better under Dave Rennie.
Well, they won 2 Super Rugby.
That's what I mean.
Yeah.
So, and Dave Rennie couldn't get a look in, mate. Couldn't get a look in because of he's a past rugby league. Don't get those rugby league people away from coaching the All Blacks. Get them away. They can only beat the All Blacks in the coaching box. Don't let them in the coaching box, the All Blacks.
Well, the whole thing, that was around that whole stupid selection policy that
that's what I mean.
The rugby union said, we're not going to look at any coaches before the Rugby World Cup.
Yeah.
And then by then, all the good coaches had been taken and we were left with Razor and Fozzie.
It's the ultimate arrogance. They just think that, everyone will want to coach us because we're the best. It's like,
crazy.
Just,
absolutely crazy. And the New Zealand Rugby Union's handling of the whole situation while the team were in South Africa.
Going over there. We're going to have a meeting.
Just abhorrent. Absolutely abhorrent. I'm really hoping that when the Silver Lake deal was agreed to by the Players Association, one of their stipulations was that within 6 months of that deal being signed, there must be an independent review of the New Zealand Rugby Union management and board structure. Awesome. And that's about to start soon.
Right.
So I'm hoping that it's not just they don't select a panel of independent buffheads that just go, oh no, rugby unions.
Great job. Yeah. Great job.
I mean, look at the partnerships that Mark Robinson has either damaged or killed or nearly killed. He's killed our relationship with South Africa, full stop.
Yep.
Nearly killed the relationship with Australia, so much so that the Australians came out and said they're going to start their own Super Rugby competition and New Zealand won't be involved.
Oh, last I saw they were walking hand in hand down the beach. But anyway.
Yeah, he's created a much wider gap between the New Zealand Rugby Union and the Rugby Players Association.
Yes.
Almost to the level where it was almost untenable.
Yep. Club rugby is basically dead.
What's club rugby?
Yeah, it's basically, it's surviving on volunteers. It really is. Although I did notice today that the first of the Silver Lake money is now up for grabs. The New Zealand Rugby Union's put out a statement saying we're putting up $5 million. Applications are now open. You can apply for anywhere between $10,000 and $50,000. Clubs of New Zealand, get your secretaries to write us a little thing, and we might be able to upgrade from sandwiches to pizza rolls. Exactly. I'm like, what is that?
We'll give you a pie warmer.
And then who's going to, you can just imagine, can't you? Like in a couple of years' time, there's going to be clubs around the country going, we never saw any of that money. Oh, hang on, this club guy got the money and bought himself a new car.
Yeah.
Where's the accountability? Sorry. The whole Silver Lake thing for me is,
don't be sorry.
It's crazy. If they knew how to do their business properly, they would monetize the New Zealand rugby themselves and create a online platform like Major League Baseball do. Yep. They would, and they'd be able to monetize streaming and all that sort of thing. Find other ways to monetize the game. But they don't. So anyway,
I guess the only bright spot for me out of the whole Silver Lake thing is that Richard Hugh McCaw has been named as one of the directors on the new company that's been set up. So a level head.
It gives you a bit of confidence, does it?
Level shoulders gives me a little bit of confidence. I haven't seen what the rest of the board is, but obviously having somebody like Richie McCaw on there, perhaps Dan Carter might be involved. I don't know. And even somebody like Kieran Reid, I think, having listened to him in his commentating over the last few weeks in the All Black tests, he seems to have pretty level head on his shoulders as well. So remains to be seen. We've obviously got a couple of tests coming up against the wobbly Wallabies.
Yeah, who aren't that wobbly. They're playing okay.
It's incredible to see that the All Blacks are actually leading the Rugby Championship.
Unbelievable.
Albeit by a point.
How was that?
That's crazy.
It's gonna be hard to pick a winner of the next Rugby World Cup.
Well, it won't be New Zealand.
Well, this is the thing. I just think the whole of the rugby world has come, it's just evened out a little bit along the top. It could be New Zealand. I mean, who knows? I mean, that's the thing. On one day, we can beat anyone, and same with so many other teams. At least it's going to be a lot more interesting. You could, in the past, you're like, look, it's either going to be Australia, New Zealand, or South Africa, or maybe England. Now it's like, well, it could also be Ireland, and it could be any of those sides, and and there are other sides coming up too. So I just think, it's going to be a lot more. The whole the international game, it's way more interesting now that the field has come back. But like you said, man, to go back to your previous comments about the way that Foster's got them going, I couldn't agree more, man. Especially in the backs. I mean, that's his job, right? Foster's the backs coach. They just seem to want to just throw it around. And some of the kicking, I mean, it's just so aimless. It's just aimless kicking, and I'm over it. And but when we started to talk rugby, I did write a couple of things. I wrote down one thing: are the All Blacks broken, or is the game of rugby broken? Now, I'm upset with the way that the All Blacks are playing. But this game of rugby that I'm watching at the moment, man, it's not the game of rugby that I was watching even 10 years ago. And I'm just completely sick of them hyper-analyzing every collision in slow motion and saying, yes, hang on, that shoulder did slightly touch the thing, so that's a yellow, that's a red. The worst rule, one of the worst stupid rules in rugby, the deliberate knock-on. Oh, put him in the bin. Yeah. What the fuck? Why is he in the bin? He's trying to catch the ball and get an intercept and create a bit of amazing running play. But no, he's put his hand out to try and catch the ball. He's done that on purpose, and it's stopped them getting the ball. So off you go for 10 minutes and completely fuck up the game. Why? Why?
I don't know why they've changed it, because in recent years, it would be if he's knocked the ball and it's gone down, then it's considered a deliberate knock on. But if you've knocked the ball and it's gone up, that's a genuine attempt to try and catch the ball.
I don't care where the ball's gone. I really don't.
The other one for me is the head-on tackles, where we saw Angus Ta'avao get red carded against Ireland.
That was just nuts. Those were
the Ireland guy that broke Brodie Retallick's jaw. Just a yellow card. And then we see in the Black Ferns test against Australia, one of the Australian women goes down like that, and the Black Fern, I can't remember what her name was, went head on to tackle. The Australian woman ended up knocking out the Black Fern. And the Black Fern got yellow carded because she wasn't protecting the head.
Because she didn't have the ball.
Really?
It's like, I'm sorry. It doesn't matter who's got the ball. It shouldn't matter. That Angus Ta'avao one was a complete example of how bloody stupid the rules have got. Those were just two guys running 1,000,000 miles an hour running into each other. That's all it was. That's all it was. Just complete accident on both. It wasn't either of their fault. It was just an accident. And that shit happens all the time. And it always has on the rugby field. Accidents happen.
Even the referee said at the time that was a pure accident. So then, no, the TMO says, I think you should take a closer look at that in super slow motion.
And let's see it again and again and again and again. And if you keep going, hammer, well, maybe there is some, maybe I should. I just think let the referees referee the game. And don't get me started on VARing, because the very similar thing has happened in the Premier League last weekend when it comes to refereeing in the box as opposed to refereeing on the field. The referee sees something, he rules on it, they carry on, they score a goal, they go, oh, hang on, there might be something you need to look at. Oh, no, I already saw that.
But Aaron, bringing technology into the game is going to get rid of all those.
Make it so much better. It's going to make the game so much cleaner. It's going to be 100%. We're not going to get anything wrong. There's still going to be fucking idiots making the calls. There's still going to be people involved.
Still humans making the calls.
People involved.
We won't even start with the bunker.
So no. But anyway, I just think the rules of rugby. Look, the rules of football are crazy. The rules of rugby league are bad, but the rules of rugby and the way that they're being refereed at the moment,
agree.
It's just craziness. It needs to change. They need to bring it back to basics, strip it down, and just say, look, head highs are head highs when someone's deliberately trying to knock his head off. It's not a head high if it's just there and it might have slipped up. And let's have a look at the actual moment of contact, especially when people are falling, right, man?
Oh, look, I'm all for protecting the head. Don't get me wrong.
Me too.
We don't want to see head injuries, having people getting dementia at age 42.
Of course not.
Anything like that. But let's just use some common sense.
Yes.
All we ask.
Absolutely.
Anyway, enough of rugby union. Let's move on to rugby league and
equally as frustrating.
Finals time, and of course, Warriors have done for the season.
It's our year. It's our year.
6 weeks ago.
It's our year. Oh, mate, what an absolute pissant of a season it's been. It's just been absolutely terrible. Before we start, okay, let's acknowledgements. Jazz Tavanga and Bunty Afoa both played 100 games this year, which is fucking amazing, really, when you think about it, because no one plays 100 games for the Warriors this time, because no one stays at the club for any longer than 2 years. So it's absolutely incredible. We've held on to two players long enough to play 100 games. So good on those two guys, Jazz Tavanga and Bunty Afoa. And to be fair, they've been two of the better performers this year. Departing players, Ewan Aitken, bye Ewan Aitken. He was given the Simon Mannering medal this week for the best player this year, which was kind of confusing for me. He's played well, but I wouldn't have given him that. Jesse Arthurs is going back to the Broncos. He was on loan. Dejan Arce, which is a strange release. He came from the Cowboys mid-year, and he's played pretty well, but his defence let him down a few times, and we have got a few replacements in his position. Leighton Fanau, Jackson Frey.
I don't think he was the only one where their defence let them down.
Nah, most of them, to be fair. Chanel Harris-Tavita, I'm sad to see this fella go. He's played really well this year, and he's a good lad. And I like what he's done, though. He's just decided to take a complete year off from rugby league, not to do anything else. Yeah, a sabbatical. Yeah, he's following in our fine footsteps. So he's going to take a holiday, and he's apparently going to do some traveling and some writing, is what he said. So I think that's really cool. Eli Katoa, this is really grinds my gears, letting this guy go. He's, for me, such a great talent. He's going to be a superstar, and we've sold him to the Storm. So that's really great. He's 21 years old, and he's going to just get real good. And I know he is. And he's going to come back and probably score 3 tries against us. And Matt Lodge, there's another one that grinds my gears. We're paying for him next year, and he's playing finals football for the Roosters, and who knows what the hell went on between him and the owner, but I'm the alpha male. Damaris Louis, he was signed mid-season. I'll
just interrupt you there. Just talking about the Warriors leader, his name's Mark Robinson too, isn't it?
It is. Can we just get rid of all Mark Robinsons?
Yeah.
Actually, that's true. Is it the same guy?
Yeah, well, have you ever seen them in the same room at the same time?
No, I haven't. Actually, you don't see them very often, do you? You hear them talking, but you don't see them very often.
Well, you see and hear too much of Mark Robinson from New Zealand Rugby.
Well, that's true. Maybe it could have been one of those things like at the end of the Scooby-Doo thing where they pull the mask off, and I am really Mark Robinson. What, the other Mark Robinson? Jack Murchie. We got rid of Jack Murchie, which is a bit strange because I thought he's played pretty well this year. Cody Nikorima, he left mid-season. Pride Patterson, Rabada, and Junior Ratuva have gone. Ash Taylor went mid-season, retired. And, of course, Reece Walsh is going to the Broncos. So that's a lot of players that have departed. But we are getting a number of players in next year. We've got Luke Metcalf from the Cronulla Sharks. He's a young 5'8" fullback who is very, very pacey. I like the look of him. Tamari Martin from the Broncos as part of the swap deal with Reece Walsh. I like Tamari Martin. He's a good player. He's a solid player. He's dependable. He is a little bit injury prone, though. Dylan Walker from the Manly Seagulls, really like this guy. He's solid. He's 30 years old, but he's seen a lot of football, and he's played State of Origin as well. Mitch Barnett is a dirty second rower from the Newcastle Knights. I like him. He's been suspended a number of times for some real dirty stuff. Just what we need. And Shans Nickel-Klokstad from the Raiders, who was initially our fullback when we signed Roger Tuivasa-Sheck, and he took off to the Canberra Raiders and has made a name for himself over there. He's coming back to play for the club, which is absolutely fantastic. I rate him as a fullback, and I rate him a hell of a lot higher than Reece Walsh, defensively, especially. Marata Nuakure, he's a very good player as well, and he's a forward. Also, though, giving away that many players means that we've got a number of options for next year. We're apparently looking for 4 new players, so it'll be interesting to see who they sign for next year. I'm not talking about this year anymore. It's in the rear vision mirror. Next year is our year. Go the mighty Vodafone Warriors.
Tell me a bit about the new coach. Who is he and where has he come from?
Yeah, well, he's come from Penrith. He's the offsider from Cleary, and he was an assistant coach here a couple of years ago. I don't really know a hell of a lot about him. I have heard a lot of good stuff on the grapevine, but you never bloody know, do you? I mean, you hear stuff and you just don't know. From what I've heard, from the interview I heard from him that he gave in the Aussie press when he got the job, I like the fact that he said that he's coming home, and the fact that he said, this is where I began my coaching career, and I like the fact that he's also been given the tick of approval by Ivan Cleary. I don't think Ivan Cleary would send us a dud, would he?
Wow.
But no, I mean, he's a young coach. It's his first head coaching gig. He's got some real philosophies about the way he wants to play the game. Look, it can't go any worse than this year, mate. He's just got to put, obviously the thing at the Warriors is about the culture. A lot of that, I think, over the last 3 years, it's just been so tough being away for so long. At least next year, they know that they're going to be most of the time in New Zealand, other than traveling over to play the games over there. They're going to be camped here. They're going to know, have a space. Maybe they'll be able to build that culture. Also, the young players are going to have an under 21s and an under 19s next year, which should make a big difference. That is the only way this club is ever going to pull themselves out of the doldrums, is to develop those youth players and bring them through and hold on to them. That is the only way the Warriors are going to get any better, man. We're not going to get those marquee players from Australia. We're going to have to pick up rough diamonds from Australia, young guys, and develop from within. And so I hope this is the start of something. But you just don't know, do you? I just hope by this time next season, mate, I'm talking about finals footy for the first time in a decade, because poor me and every other bloody Warriors fan, man, we've been through the ringer. Jeez.
You certainly have. And another interesting one, Cappy's back.
Yeah, that's good. I liked him, man. I didn't rate him as a head coach, but he tended to get along with the players. I think he'll bring a good feeling to the camp. It'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see how they go next year, man. I don't know. You have warm feelings about the Warriors, and then they kick you in the groin. So, we'll just wait and see, man. We'll just wait and see. That's how it seems to be every year.
Quite right. Moving to the, we've, as you say, the winter seasons are behind us now.
Yeah.
Spring has sprung.
We'll talk. Hang on. We'll talk a bit of finals footy next podcast as well. Okay. Yeah. We'll get to the finals. We'll talk other rugby league stuff next time. Okay. Because
quite right.
I'm still just recovering. Yeah.
We'll move on to cricket.
Go on.
There was a one day international in Australia yesterday. If you didn't know.
There was.
New Zealand scored 233 on a slow wicket, and had Australia at 5 for 44, and still managed to lose.
We're good at that.
Snatching defeat from the jaws of victory.
One, we didn't score enough runs. We were 3 for about 179, I think. 3 for 179 at about the 38th over. Should have got plus 250. Should have got probably 260, 270. Well, then we would have won. The bowlers looked really good. Trent Boult looked great. Thought our opening bowlers looked great. And then I fell asleep on the couch and woke up and we hadn't got any more wickets. So maybe it was my fault because I fell asleep. Because when I was paying attention, we were getting wickets. So I don't really know what happened there at the end. Did you see what happened there at the end?
Oh, I didn't see what happened at the end, but I was watching a wee bit in the middle stages, and it looked to me like we took the foot off the throat a wee bit after the initial onslaught of Boult and Henry. We brought a couple of spinners on, and it just let the let Alex Carey and Cameron Green settle into their work. And by the time Lockie Ferguson came on, it was a bit late.
Yeah, that's a strange decision to not play Lockie Ferguson earlier. I mean, although the Australians, their spinners were their best bowlers. So
True.
maybe, and it was a low, slow wicket. So I thought maybe we thought that our spinners would play a bigger part. But hey, Mitchell Santner,
I do not know how that man gets into New Zealand cricket teams.
Don't know either, mate. I do like Bracewell. I think he's got something to offer. I like the way he bats, especially in one day and T20 cricket. I don't know about Test cricket, but I like the way he bats, and he's got something to offer the bowling. But Mitchell Santner, he bowls nude spinners.
Yeah.
He hardly bats very well. He never really scored anything. I just don't understand really either. Drops catches really well.
Yeah. Let's talk a bit about Lockie Ferguson and the overs I watched. He was high 140s.
Yeah.
And
he's rapid
getting it through.
Oh, he's always been rapid. I mean, I think high 140s for him is probably about average. I mean, he is. He can push one past 150, man. Yeah, and it's great to have a fast bowler, isn't it? But why don't we open with them? Why do we always want to bowl these fast bowlers? Second or third change.
It seems to be the way, and especially in one-day cricket. When you look at Australia in their halcyon days, Brett Lee never opened the bowling in one day for them. No. He always came on about the 10th over.
Is it because of the white? I've heard a few philosophies on this. Is it because of the white ball? They reckon it swings more after a few overs, like 10 or 15 overs. So they think, okay, we'll give it to the faster bowler after it's got a little bit of lacquer off it. It might be a bit of that, but I just like the opening bowler to be, their openers to be facing our fastest bowler at the beginning. Hey, it's always nice to see.
Tell you what, there's big raps on this young lad coming through from Wellington, Ben Sears.
Oh, yes.
He is very rapid.
Searing pace. Yes.
Searing pace. His father, Michael, actually used to play for Wellington about 20 or 30 years ago.
Is that right?
Before he retired from cricket and became a policeman.
Okay.
I know Michael quite well. Well, I haven't seen him for a number of years, but I knew Michael quite well and back in those days. And Michael compares himself to a Tommy Trundler compared to his son Ben. And Michael was reasonably quick.
So we got another Heath Davis on our hands.
I think he's a bit more level-headed than
it wouldn't be hard. Although that bowler that time did try and level his head that time, didn't he? Bounced it off him.
He did, yeah.
I saw that little documentary on Heath Davis the other day. It was very interesting. It was nice
very interesting. Yeah.
Nice to see that he's still around. Really,
still around. Yep. A couple of things have happened over the last couple of weeks. We've seen Trent Bolt released from his New Zealand cricket contract, and then we saw Colin de Gronholm retire from international cricket because
we could have done with him last night.
He wanted to play T20.
Big Bash. Wanted to go to the Bash. He put himself in the auction. I don't think he thought he was going to get picked up, to be fair.
Yeah.
And he did. He got picked up, and he's going to be playing a bit of the Big Bash. This is going to be happening more and more and more, though, man. There's just too much money in the Big Bash, and we could see it coming a million miles off. You and I, we've been talking about this for ages. There's just not enough days in the year, calendar days in the year, to fit all the tournaments that are going on all around the world. I suppose it's great if you're like a hard-hitting first-class cricketer around the world. You got opportunities to sort of travel the world and make some money. But if you're one of those top-tier cricketers, or if you're a fan of a nation, especially a nation like New Zealand, where we're a smaller nation, we don't quite have the same opportunities financial-wise as far as the money that they earn in England and Australia and India, obviously, just for being in the Indian or Australian or English cricket team is just phenomenal compared to New Zealand, isn't it? So if you're a small country like us, of course, we're going to have more and more mercenaries, aren't we? We're going to have players I'd really love to play for New Zealand, but I'm getting paid 10 times as much to go over there.
We've already seen a few, haven't we, with what was the
Colin Munro,
yeah. Colin Munro, Adam Milne have done that.
There's a number of them
earlier than that, the likes of James Franklin,
absolutely. Absolutely. Went off to the Pakistan League. And even right at the very beginning, people like Chris Keans and, at the very beginning of it all, we won't mention what happened there. But yes, I just think this is going to happen more and more and more. There's just going to be more and more mercenaries. What it's going to mean is that maybe that New Zealand cricket needs to do a deal with someone, dare I say it, like Silver Lake, because they don't have the revenue streams that New Zealand Rugby does, because they don't have the people coming to the first class games. They just don't have the audience. They just don't have it. So
one thing around the Trent Bolt situation I was a little miffed at was, Bolt came out and said, I want to spend more time with my family.
With the family.
You're not. You've done it for money.
Yeah.
Just be honest.
Yeah, I agree.
Because you're not going to get to spend any more time with your family.
Yeah.
Because you're going to be playing in tournaments around the world.
Completely agree. Yeah. It's like,
don't hide behind I'm doing it so I can see more of my family.
He's listened to a PR agent, hasn't he? He said they've probably released the statement. Who knows? Yeah. I don't know. It's just what they're told to do these days, aren't they?
Yep. And yes, you have already mentioned the poor form of the Black Caps in England. That was a real letdown, wasn't it?
It was, man. And the thing is, they were in position to win all three of those test matches, and they could have. I suppose the big story with those three test matches was Daryl Mitchell, just transforming himself into a world-class batsman at test level. Was it 2 or 3 centuries? It was just phenomenal. 3 centuries back-to-back. It was just phenomenal. Phenomenal run of form that he was on. But really disappointing, the results. And then obviously after that, we went and spanked the Irish and the Dutch. Those very strange series. Yeah, in Scotland. And then we went to the West Indies and played really well over there, actually. Played okay over there and won that one-day series for the first time over there, which was a good result. And now we've come back to earth with a bang with a kind of inconsistent performance last night. I quite liked the look of our side, the way that we'd from 1 to 11 last night. I quite liked the look of it. But it's just just can't quite get the runs at the moment, can we? I mean, it's our batsmen really that are the worries.
Are we seeing the beginning of a bit of the changing of the guard? Obviously, Ross Taylor retired at the beginning of the year. Trent Bolt's opted out of his contract. Tim Southey's not getting any younger. Neil Wagner didn't even make the test teams, and
that was a bit crazy. I thought he had to be inside. Who's the young fella that opened the innings with Guptill in the West Indies and stuff? What's his name?
Ben Allen.
Quite like the look of him. He looks like he's a comer. And Will Young, of course, he's looking okay, but maybe he's plateaued a little bit. I'd love to see some youth in the team. I think for a while now we've been a little bit too conservative in the Black Caps with our selection policy, although we weren't conservative when it came to Wagner. I don't really know what was going on there in the UK.
I remember hearing an interview between, I think it was Ian Smith and Mike Hesson in between the second and third test, and neither of them could work out why Neil Wagner had been left out. Mike Hesson also made some interesting comments around Will Young. Thinks he would be better off batting number 5 or 6.
In the middle order,
and having Devon Conway open. Obviously,
I'd agree.
Conway opened in that series the year before in England and just
did pretty well.
Did pretty well. So maybe going forward, I mean, perhaps in Conway's opening in this one-day series, he opened last night with Martin Guptill. Maybe it's about time because everybody thought, he was just going to be a natural replacement to Ross Taylor at 4. But if you've got him opening with Tom Latham, then you can have Young down at 5 or 6, maybe 5 with Daryl Mitchell at 6.
Well, that's the way the Aussies. That's the way the Aussies always do it, isn't it? Even if they bring an opener into their test team, they often bat him at 5. They bat him down the order. They don't throw him to the Lions. I think we're often keen to do that, aren't we? We're more the other way around. We'll bring in a middle order player and let him open. Here you go, mate. Cope the best you can.
Yeah, now, Ken Rutherford.
Ken Rutherford, I was
he's
just
a prime example of that.
Ken
Wasn't he?
Rutherford in the West Indies. I can't see the ball. Yeah. It's just so typical of New Zealand cricket again, hey?
Well, it seems to be New Zealand sports teams in general. They like putting players out of position.
Square pegs and round holes. Yeah, we're good at that.
Yep, quite right. Oh, well, we're nearly come to the end of the show. We've touched on baseball. I've talked about Aaron Judge, what a season he's having. The New York Yankees have just about fallen off a cliff.
What's happened? I haven't seen
pre-season, 35 games over 500.
Yeah.
And for the month of August, it was just a shocker.
It's because you played the Red Sox a few times, didn't you?
Well, those series were actually fairly even.
Oh, were they? Who killed you then? What were the teams that everyone?
Well, yeah, you name it. Houston.
Oh, really? Oh, God.
We did.
I saw that. I saw one of those Houston games. Yeah, but so what are the teams that haven't fallen off the cliff? The Dodgers are still doing their things. The Padres are doing okay.
Dodgers have got the best record in baseball at the moment. They've already won over 90 games.
Yeah, but once again, doesn't mean anything once you get to the playoffs, does it?
I know. The cheating Houston Astros are doing great guns. They've won 86 games, I think. The Yankees are 81, but that took them a hell of a long time to get from 70 to 80. I think their record in August was something like 9 wins and 20 losses.
Wow.
Something like that after, as I say, up to the All-Star break, they were just
killing it.
People were giving them the World Series trophy already.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they've had injury problems. Players have lost form. Giancarlo Stanton, since he's been back from an injury, has hit like 3 safe hits and 40 at bats. Just can't seem to catch up to the fastball. The Yankees really need to clean house this off season.
You say that every year.
I know I do.
You say that every year, mate. I've got to get rid of these guys and
they
bring
need to get rid of the
star.
general manager and the manager.
Yeah.
Okay. Time for fresh face. Bring Derek Jeter in as general manager now that he's no part of the Marlins. That was another good television series.
I was gonna say just then you brought it up. What did you make of that? The captain on ESPN.
Really good.
Yeah. Did it offer you any insight into something maybe you didn't know beforehand that you did know after watching it?
Oh, there were a few little things. I'd sort of caught up with most of things, given that he was my favourite player of all time.
I thought some of the best stuff, the most juicy stuff, was him and A-Rod.
Yeah, that was interesting. I think even still that was blown up to be a bit more than what it actually was. I liked Jeter saying how, people within his trust circle only get a couple of opportunities. If that, they only get one opportunity, and if they betray him, they're gone.
Fair enough. I mean, if you're living that life where you've got so many people wanting stuff from you, you have to be like that. I think, because otherwise, you can't give people more than one chance.
One of the interesting stories, and I'd heard about this beforehand, was the urban myth that whenever he had a one-night stand with a woman, or went out a couple of times with her, when he left, he'd always leave a gift basket of signed memorabilia and stuff like that. And some guy or some woman had claimed in the media that she got a Derek Jeter gift basket, and Jeter's like, well, I don't know where she got it from because it didn't come from me.
Never came.
Never happened.
Maybe he was speaking colloquially. Oh, that's pretty funny. Another great show just before we go that I've been watching is Welcome to Wrexham on Disney. It's absolutely amazing. Rob McElhenney and Ryan Reynolds buying Wrexham FC in Wales. Absolutely phenomenal show. I think it's 4 episodes in. I just can't wait for every episode to drop. Then there's another one drops today. It is so good. It's just shows how genuine people, when they care, can make a difference, even though they're a million miles away. I love it. Do everything you can to watch it. It's great. Welcome to Wrexham.
It's on Disney Plus, isn't it?
Disney Plus. Watch it. Do everything you can. Sign up for 1 month for free if you have to.
The Amazon Prime series are very good too.
They are, aren't they? Have you watched the latest
last episode of the Arsenal documentary? I've watched the Tottenham Hotspur one. I've watched the All Black one. I've watched most of the Man City one. I can't bring myself to watch the last episode.
Fair enough. What have you made? Just before we go, what did you make of Arteta? You've watched more than I've only watched the first couple of episodes of the Arsenal one. I thought he looked like a cardboard cutout the first couple, and then there was a few things that I thought he was getting a little bit more right towards the end of the second episode. Yeah. What's your thoughts?
Yeah, he does improve, but he still doesn't do it for me, I'm afraid.
The thing with him is whenever his team loses, it's always the ref or my team should have won. He never ever says, "Oh no, we played bad." It's always something else.
He does. There's a couple of games in there where he comes out and basically says, "You guys were shit."
Oh well, fair enough. They were. No, those are great. Those All or Nothing documentary series. It'll be interesting to see who they've got this year. Who they're actually because they keep it very quiet, don't they?
Yeah. There were rumours going around that it might be Manchester United.
I heard that. Yeah, that'd be bloody interesting, wouldn't it?
Just finally, before we go, NFL kicks off this week.
Does it really?
NFL. They've finished the preseason. Games start. First one is Friday afternoon, New Zealand time. Nice. Thursday night football, and then we rip into it Monday morning with the full round of games.
And who's your pick for the before a ball is kicked?
Yeah, that's a tough one.
It is It's
always a real tough one.
It's always so tough.
I guess you can't go past the Chiefs. The Buccaneers.
The usual suspects. The Rams, they're the champions.
Brady's out of retirement again.
No.
Be interesting to see how the 49ers go. I mean, they did well to get to the championship game last year.
They kept the same quarterback though, mate. I just don't think Garoppolo's got it.
No, he won't be starting.
They're going to say Trey Lance, are they?
He's not played in preseason. They're trying to get rid of him.
So they're going to. I thought they re-signed him.
No.
Okay.
He still had 1 year left on his deal.
Oh, okay. So he'll be back up to Trey Lance.
Yep.
Okay. That's good.
So Lance will be, and also they picked a quarterback quite high in the draft in April as well.
Yeah.
So I think they quite like him. I saw a bit of him in one of the preseason games a couple of weeks ago. But I don't think you can go past the usual suspects. Maybe we saw the Bengals make the Super Bowl.
The Rams
won it, of course.
Yeah, Buffalo Bills. They were good. They were your pick last year, and they did okay. Yeah. And the Green Bay Packers, of course. Aaron Rodgers, after his, what was he? He was. He had his. He was immune from the COVID because he had. Yeah. What did he say he had?
I'm immunized.
I'm immunized. That's right. Yeah. His immunization.
Yes.
Yeah, which is
right. Anyway. There we go. We're back after 3 months hiatus.
We are. We're alive.
We're not going to be doing these every week.
No.
We will just sort of from time to time pop up on your Facebook feed and Twitter feed. So give us a like on YouTube.
Tell your friends. Tell your family.
Tell your friends and family to watch the Hot Air Sports podcast, and we will see you again sometime soon.
Yeah.
So drop us a good day from me.
And it's a very good night from him. We'll see you next time.